Another week, another adventure. Life on the farmhouse always gives us room to learn, grow, and sharpen our skills. This week was full of challenges, removing the chimney from the bedroom, uncovering the true condition of one of the main roof beams, and giving the donkeys a much needed hoof trim, even if they weren't thrilled about it. We also tackled the old electrical system to prevent future issues and reduce the risk of fire, along with a few small upgrades that will make everyday life here a little easier. So, if you're ready to jump into another week of progress, problem solving, and farmhouse life, let's go.
I measured yesterday how much the floor is dropping. I measured from below up to the beams, and it's 7 centimeters that it's down where the fireplace is. So that's around 3 inches almost. It's quite a lot. You can really feel the tilt of the floor. But today we're gonna try and get this floor of the chimney completely done, and then we'll move downstairs to get it all away. And we're just planning to throw it all in the trailer. This main beam holding the roof up, it is unfortunately completely rotten. To dust. So what to do? So now the only thing holding this floor up is the chimney, and the only thing holding the chimney up is those 2 little wooden beams that are also rotten.
But as Gisli and his dad dug deeper into the chimney, they uncovered some not so great news.
So, even worse than I thought. There is absolutely nothing left of this beam. It's holding on by a prayer. And now it's just a question of what we do. Replace the beam in its entirety. But the beam downstairs is already leaning a lot, so is it strong enough to hold all this extra weight?
After seeing the condition of the beam, an acro prop was immediately installed to support it, and the room was prepared for the big chimney removal. But for now, it's time for a break. Let's head outside and check on our donkeys who are about to get a fresh pedicure. For this task, we needed a little help from the previous owner of the house. He and his wife owned the property, and they also owned the donkeys. When the house was sold, moving the donkeys turned out to be difficult, so they stayed here with us. Since he has experience with hoof care, he came by to help us prepare and show us the right approach before we got started. Remembering the ritual, the donkeys weren't very happy about what was coming, especially Saxo, who made it a quick escape as soon as we tried to guide him into the fenced area where they were supposed to stay for the hoof trimming. But after some gentle petting and a little reassurance that everything would be alright, Saxo finally agreed to go along with the process. As part of getting ready for the hoof trimming, we also learned how to fit a halter around the donkey's head, a skill that could be useful if these clever creatures ever decided to take a stroll through the neighborhood on their own again.
On l'avait fait au mois de... Je sais plus si on l'avait fait en novembre.
On l'avait fait...
Si, on l'avait fait.
En septembre, non?
Oui, c'est pas septembre.
Septembre.
Le mieux, tu vois,
les
c'est
4 mois.
essayer de le faire au moins 2 fois.
Ah, c'est tous les 4 mois. Normalement. 4 mois, ça fait...
Au printemps et juste avant l'hiver. Parce que sinon, tu vois, elles se forment, les sabots ils se forment. s'usent pas, comme ils sont tout le temps sur l'herbe, ils s'usent pas alors.
The professional who came to do the trimming explained that this process should be repeated every 4 months to keep the donkey's hooves in good condition. To keep the donkeys in place and prevent any accidental kicks during their pretty pedicure, we were shown how to gently twist their ears. At first, it felt a little strange and we worried it might hurt, but done carefully, it doesn't hurt them at all. With the donkeys ready and their hoofs looking shiny and new, it's time to head back inside and see what's happening with the house's electrical work.
Today I'm upgrading the electricity, putting a bigger safety here, so this one doesn't always go out when something goes wrong. It is 63 amperes and 300 milliamp instead of the 40 amp, 30 milliamp one that was in here. So it should trip last. So the other ones should trip first. And then I'm putting the correct fuses. I had temporarily put 3 25 fuses, which is not the correct thing to do. So I bought 3-phase fuses to replace it. And then we're running bigger wires to the other side of the main house. So to the living room, 2 bedrooms, and then to the 2 little apartments we're gonna have for rent. So it does have to be a lot bigger to handle all that, but so then we should be a lot safer. Hopefully, if I do everything right. Here's the plan. Shove these 5 wires through this conduit. It's gonna be like 25 meters long, and then I'm gonna try to run the conduit with all the wires already dragged through, because I don't think I'm going to be able to drag them through afterwards. Here's what I did to keep everything still. Just hooked it all up to the door, dragged it all out. Now I'm gonna go get a little bit of lubricant and then try to drag this mess all the way through. Alright, that went quite well. Now the cables are pulled all the way through. Time to put the big wire up. Here it comes out from the kitchen. Need to make it a little bit bigger. I'm gonna take it up here. And for now, I'm just gonna hang it up here. Afterwards I have to decide if I put it in the wall or if I just cover it with something. I have to decide. When it comes here, I'm gonna need to take some of the existing wiring out. All this gonna get replaced, I think. But it goes here above the beam. Above the beam. Gonna have to rip all this wiring out and it will go through there. Over the front door. Here it is. And then I'm gonna stop here, put an electrical box, and then from there the wires will go to each room and 2 phases will go to another box outside, and those 2 will be for the 2 apartments that we have. First step done is to pull all the wires through. Just need to connect them and run them the entire way. I'm not an electrician, just to make that clear. So whatever you see, don't copy it without verifying by yourself what you should do. I am, on the other hand, my education was industrial mechanics, so that I have done, and it does involve some electrical work. Don't copy, but maybe you can understand some basics from watching this. That should be fine. You gotta be careful here, because these wires are live and these are live. So it's not very common, I think, to have three-phase electricity all over your house, but it definitely is here. In this house. Alright, then that's that. The box should still fit over. And then I have to connect the phases and the neutral. I will go here. Ground. It's grounded with the other ones. Yeah. I'll finish this later when I'm ready to turn it on, or yeah, I have to finish this later. I need a few more pieces of 10 gauge wire, so once I've dragged it all the way, I'll know how much I have left, and if I have some spares, I can finish connecting this up here.
Managing a big property isn't always easy. There are always tasks, big and small, popping up everywhere. While the electrical work was underway inside the house, we discovered that the donkeys had somehow managed to take their water bowl for a little adventure. And despite the endless rain we had last week, it was now lying there completely empty. When it's dry, we usually keep the water hose running just enough to keep the donkey's bowl full. But after all the rain and after a hose sprayer was destroyed by the big frost a few weeks ago, we had turned off the water completely to avoid unnecessary spills. Now it's finally time to turn it back on. Let's see what we can do about your water. Okay. Let's see.
Decided to invest in a little upgrade so I can do this safely. Just a little trailer hitch ball.
It was time to clear away all the debris from the roof after removing the top part of the chimney. While it might not look like much, this pile weighed several tons and took multiple trips to get everything to the recycling center. After the rain, the mud was so deep that the car couldn't pull the fully loaded trailer, so the solution was to attach a bull hitch to the tractor and drag the trailer through the mud.
Completely done, except for maybe a few tiny pieces. But this looks like it is at least 1.5 to 2 tons. And we took one previously. So just the chimney that was the part sticking out, and what I could dig out was 3 to 4 tons. It's like I think 7,000 or 8,000 pounds clay tiles, dirt, stones. But at least it's safe moving it on this dirt path that we're in.
Spring is slowly closing in, and while the days are getting warmer, we've still had plenty of rainfall. But there are signs that soon we'll be enjoying much more of the sunshine and good weather. Now you're probably wondering what about that chimney? So let's go and take a look.
I've added one more support downstairs for the big beam and tried to lift it a little up. Then I've added a few more, one on the beam here. This one I've put a little to the side because I plan to cut this beam somewhere here where it's not rotten, and then cut it in half. Cut this part away and then make a replacement beam and then bolt it together in 3 places. And I've taken off the weight of these beams, lifted them up a little. And yeah, then I just have to wait until I have the courage to do all this. Not quite sure what's best to do. I guess I'll be using a chainsaw. Don't have any better ideas as of now. It would probably be nicest to do this from upstairs, from the loft. But we'll see. I'll figure it out. At least everything is supported for now, so nothing's coming down. I even managed to lift the beam off the chimney. There's a little gap now, so it's not resting on the chimney anymore. So maybe I should also start by taking a little chunk of the chimney away so I have more space to work around it.
No more for the lite värme än lighter där bara. Ja, just.
Ja.
The beam was in far worse condition than we had anticipated. We debated a lot before deciding to remove the chimney, since it was clearly going to be more work than just leaving it alone. But now, Seeing what was hiding behind the walls, slowly decaying, we were glad we made this decision to take this big step.
Okay, the chimney is now down quite a bit further. The beam is in quite a bad shape. It just turns to mush. The beam above, also in quite a bad state. I'm gonna need to support it somehow. Or maybe I also extend this one back to the wall. Probably have to do that. At least now we have plenty of space to work. The beams on the other side are decent, eh? Look a little black, but they're solid.
Half of the bedroom's chimney is now gone, and it's time to clear the area for the next step.
Trying to decide where to cut it off. It's a little solid. Not here.
As the renovation of our house continues, we can't help but wonder how long it will take and how many more hidden treasures we'll uncover behind these walls. To find out with us, stick around and we'll see you next Friday.